everyone, and welcome once again to Diane Writes. I'm very sorry for the delay. It's been a bit of a day here. Poor James waiting patiently for like an hour. Hi James, good to see you. Welcome Siobhan. Let's see who else is here. Bonjour Amélie, or rather, probably salut. It's probably good evening, isn't it? Yeah. Hi Kayetan, good to see you. Oh, people are playing with CSS. That's cool. Hi Natalia, good to see you. You guys are showing off your worlds, and I'm not going to have time to look at them unless they're showcases, which is a shame. Hi Daz, good to see you as always. Hello Twinkle. Working on the Flash Challenge, that's cool. Hi Barbarossa. Yeah, this Magic Item Flash Challenge is the coolest thing, isn't it? I just, okay, I kind of skimmed through. I caught up on stuff. I have a showcase critique. Oh no, that was yesterday. Okay. How is everyone doing today? What are you all working on today? I had a, oh, we do have a showcase. Okay, cool. I will look at it. I had a bit of a mishap, which is what was keeping me. I was having trouble getting a historical entry to save on World Anvil, and I still don't know what I did wrong, and it still didn't save. So I put in a bug report. I'm hoping it's just something to do with the browser on that computer. I will probably try it again here after I am done doing the editing for my Patreons that I typically do today. So Barbarossa says, hi, I'm studying but also working on the Flash Challenge. I'm doing my Orc Detective story magic item called the Money Clip of Holding. That's cool. More spells, says Daz. Twinkle says, I came up with a magical fidget spinner, oh neat, that acts as a mental focus for magic users with ADHD and or autism. That is a cool idea. So I can complete the showcase critique rewards? Yeah, says Siobhan. Yeah, just because you're a moderator here doesn't mean you can't access the services. James is tidying up an article for presentation. Natalia is working on her insanity and failing epically. I wasn't sure which ones were done. Actually, as far as... Okay, if it was yesterday, I assume that was redeemed in Aaron's stream. And, yeah. He didn't tell me otherwise. Barbarossa says, I want to share my Auran with you, but I shared it with so many people. I'm not sure if or when I shared it with you last time. I have no idea. I'm sorry. How is House Lappin Leader? I'm frustrated and a little frazzled today, actually, because I hate repeating work. It's not like I have a plethora of time, you know, and I could not get this historical entry to save. And these things require me to concentrate because I'm not very good at listing things in a timeline. I really have to think about it. I mean, it's nobody's fault. I'm not mad at anybody, obviously, right? But, you know, it was, it made me very cross, and I was kind of focused on it, and bah, right? But I'm sure I will get better as the stream progresses. It usually is what happens. Walking Dead Lover says, I got a massive scene idea that I'm playing around with that's heartbreaking but totally worth it. Heartbreaking is usually worth it. Kalyatan says, this world is very pink. Amelie says, my computer has restarted again just when you started talking about the Flash Challenge. Why does it always do that during your stream? You may have it set so that it's got a reset power setting or something, and it is timed to go off at a particular time of day. Or it could be that there is like a fluctuation in your electricity that is causing it to do that. These are things I can think of. I don't know. Are the edits done? What, are you talking to me? Not completely. Let's showcase your article. I'm going to put up the sprint timer here. And I rebooted the computer, so of course now I have to do this again for some reason. It started doing that ever since the last major Windows update, which I find very irritating. I think that's where I was. Did it show up? Okay. Right now we're going to look at Siobhan's article, in theory, or her world. Corowinia. Oh, new world, okay. Elves and dwarves are involved in a border war. The dwarves have gathered and pushed the elves off the main continent and onto the large island to the north. In the deep south of the continent, there is a very large country that is completely controlled by dragons. So this is a campaign world you're creating? That's cool. I like your doodad here. And we have Moonflower to thank for the theme. Well, that's awesome. What is the genre of your world there? Like... Yeah, I do indeed see what you're talking about the pinkness. And I find myself going, this might be a good opportunity to talk about epic, or expectations of genre. Because, I mean, honestly, the world's beautiful. I love to look at it, but I would think of something... Oh, Georgian fantasy. Okay, that probably works then. What is the music about? Is music a significant, magical focus thing in the world, or? The color does imply romance. I would have thought that immediately. And failing that, YA geared towards girls. Magic is controlled by music. Well, that's perfect then for that. Okay, Barbarossa, go ahead and link it. If I've seen it before, I'll tell you. If I haven't, go ahead and pay the showcase cost, and I will look at it. What is Georgian fantasy? Georgian fantasy speaks of... okay, Georgian is a historical time period. It speaks of the time when, it was right before the Victorian age when King George was on the throne of England, right? And there are certain, social customs around that time that will have an effect on how people interact with each other. And by the way, I'm sorry I don't look too shit hot today. As you can see, my cheeks are all puffy and red. I appear to be having an allergic reaction to something on top of everything else, so we're good! It's a good day. Yeah, before the French Revolution for us, says Amelie. Is it before the French Revolution? Okay, that's cool. Maybe I am mistaken as to the time period. Because that seems much earlier than that. Yeah, Benadryl, but the problem is I take a daily allergy pill, and I'm afraid of them interacting. I probably am going to go take some Benadryl in a few minutes anyway, and just, hope I don't die of a heart attack or something, because I just can't handle it. It's driving me insane. Okay. Oh, I loaded it twice. No, it's neat there, Brianna. I look forward to seeing more about it. Yes, I have seen your birds before. Oh, wait, no, I haven't. Wait a minute. No, I have not. This is... Or have I? Yes, I did. The article may not have been as developed before. Yeah, I think it was just the initial pattern that I saw before, so I will, okay, thank you very much for the clarification. Regency is after the Revolution, during the Napoleonic Wars, and Georgia was just before. Okay, right. Okay, so I actually did have it right, but my brain tripped over it. You see what I mean about being terrible about dates and stuff like that? This is why I get frustrated when I'm working on timelines and they don't work, right? In an hour, I got one historical entry done, and I still had to, it didn't save, so what? Doesn't help, right? So, very frustrating. Yeah, I also just checked that. Says MLA, I tend to think of them as separate, but apparently people include the Regency in the Georgian era. Yeah, okay. Alright, so we'll go over Barbarossa's article here. So go ahead and pay your cost, dude. Aurelian? Awiran? Okay. Lifespan 50 to 70 years. Average height female adult 6 feet to 6.5 feet. Male 5.7 feet to 6 feet. Do you mean that like that, or did you mean to say 6 feet to 6 feet 5 inches? And 5'7" to 6 feet, because that's not a point expressed that way, right? And I would see the point form more usually used with meters, right? Because there's 12 inches in a foot, so it doesn't add up to a decimal, right? Okay, average weight, females, adult 140 pounds to 160 pounds, males, adult 125 pounds to 145 pounds, average length, wingspan, 7 feet to 8 feet. Okay. I find myself wondering if you need this. Standing roughly 6 to 6.5 feet high, because you just told us that that's how tall they were over here in your stat block, right, or your statistics. Awiran are the shortest race in the New World, right? Okay, their faces are marked with angular... I might just start with the Awiran are the shortest race in the New World. Their faces are marked with sharp angular features. They possess pneumatized bones, which hold little strength but give a supernatural lightness to them, allowing flight. Now, that's where I remember the pneumatized bones. It means they're hollow. Though avian in appearance, they possess strong carnivorous teeth. They have no hair, but sharp, coarse feathers form on their heads and bodies, it would be, just if you care about the grammar. Around the neck, these feathers form a dense collar that, when provoked, rise. Okay. These feathers form a dense collar, period. When the Awiran are provoked, the collar rises and extends to intimidate enemies, right? Because you're not matching subject and verb there, right? From their neck, a thin layer of plumage coats their shoulders and continues down to their pectorals. The upper appendages of the Awiran act both as their arms and their wings. Their hands possess long, talon-like claws. A sixth digit, attached at the wrist below the pinky finger, reforms the ramage, which holds the primary feathers, and therefore, you need an E at the end of therefore, enables their ability to fly. This appendage folds at the wrist, meeting against the arm and poking out above the elbow. Its feathers fold together to hide its true size. The legs of the Awiran are narrow and bony with scaled skin, which extends from their upper thighs to their feet. Recommend a comma after skin. From their thighs, their legs extend forward to forward-facing knees. From the knees, long hollow bones extend to backwards joints, which are believed to be the ankles. From their ankles, a third bone reaches their feet, which appears to be standing on their you don't need up here, which stand on their 3 talon toes. A fourth toe extends backwards from the other 3. You might want to add 4 balance there, right? Because we know what the structure of bird talon, right? These feet are capable of grabbing and holding objects as well as fighting. Their talons are naturally sharp, enough so that they can cleave through flesh with little trouble, and strong enough to crush bones when clenched. I seem to remember that this entry, and that's from Journal of the New World, the Awiran Folk. I seem to remember that the information was pretty much the same in this last time, but there were a lot of other grammatical mistakes, which you have since corrected. So that's cool. Most of the new information, I think, is down here. I don't think there was a lot when I saw it the first time. So, sexual dimorphism. Of the two sexes, females are larger and possess more defined features. Define what you mean by defined. And you're repeating, females possess larger, darker colored feathers than their male counterparts. You could just say have. I get the feeling like getting into the habit of writing an encyclopedia style, you're using bigger words than you have to. Okay, yeah, their voices are high in the soprano. I would say in the soprano. Or you could say their voices are in the high soprano vocal range, which can switch from melodic or screeching on command. I would say ranging from melodic to a screech, right? And I would say that because, of course, on command, right? And I don't think they consciously think about it and then give a vocal command and then their voice changes, right? They just have that range, right? And that implies that there's another step there. Fat storage is concentrated on their hips, thighs, buttocks, and chest, which grants them a curvier appearance than the typical male. There's nothing technically wrong with the word grants, but it has the connotation of being a gift. Who gave it to them? Was it a gift? I don't know if having a curvier body than a male is a gift, right? Some days I like it, some days I really don't. So maybe which gives will be fine, or which suggests a curvier outline or something like that. Okay, all females have small pockets of fat which extend 1 to 2 inches from their pectorals. You could really shorten that, right? All females have, Awiran females have breasts and feed their hatchlings from their milk, right? Would be sufficient there, right? Because you're like, pockets of fat, pectorals, oh, now we're talking about boobs, okay. You know, is what the brain does there. It trips over it. There's sometimes the simplest way to say things are best. You know, usually the simplest way to say things are best, right? We know what a breast is, right? I'm not sure why the avian species would work like that. It's interesting, right? Anything larger than this is considered extremely rare. Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. You're saying they have breasts and the breasts are small, right? You could even say small breasts to feed their hatchlings from their milk, right? And leave the rest of it out, because nobody cares about the tit sizes of your Awiran, right? They're birds. We're not interested. Probably sounds growly, and I don't mean to be growly. Okay, all female Awiran are capable of lactation within an hour of suckling, regardless of if they are the child's biological mother. That's a useful adaptation. I'm sure that lots of human women wish they had that. In comparison, Awiran males are smaller and possess a less defined physical structure. Again, what do you mean by defined, right? Does defined mean, because defined usually means you can see it. It's got definition, right? That's the sprint for those of you who are using the timer to sprint. Yeah, right, like I'm now, just now getting you mean physically strong and muscular, right? So, yeah, explain that a bit, right? Go to muscular, right? Talk about females are larger, and if you must have possess greater muscle mass. That's sufficient. In comparison, Awiran males are smaller, all right, and less muscular, giving them a more rounded appearance. Unlike the females, males have small, brightly colored feathers, along with smaller talons on their hands and feet. Why would the feathers be small? That confuses me. Aren't they, like, intended to show off their plumage? I'm confused, right? Based on the discussion we had previously, not based on anything that's said here. Like, if you take this as it is, then okay, right? Males also have a lower alto tone of voice, which is naturally more harmonic than their female counterparts. So they also court with birdsong, which is kind of cool. Genetics and reproduction. The Awiran folk are sexual creatures, utilizing physical intercourse for production. Once achieved, the eggs are internally fertilized and begin to form within the female of the species. Again, this is a lot of unnecessary, elaborately ways to say some basic information, right? Okay, now, bisexual creatures. The implication of that is they like to fuck a lot, do they? Right? Is that something that's part of their culture? Because it could be. I have species like that, sapient species like that, so fine, right? But, you know, because their species has a particularly strong sex drive. Maybe they do, right? But if that's not what you meant, then my suggestion is the Awiran reproduce sexually, right? Because that has a definition of biology. Daz has a point, but is it a breast or just a teat? Right? It could be just a teat. Fair enough. In which case, I would say teats. They have teats instead of breasts. But it's, you know, fat pocket, lactation. Oh, wait, we're talking about boobs. Okay. Right? Is what that sentence was like. So, you know, I just suggest some reworking. Yeah. Once achieved, the eggs are internally fertilized and begin to form within the female of the species. It's actually kind of backwards, right? In species that lay eggs, typically the eggs form within the female of the species, and then they are internally fertilized, right? Mammals carry their latent eggs throughout their lives. This is true of any creature that, like, even avian species. There's a cell that hasn't yet developed into an egg, but it will be there, right? And it's stored, and it's waiting to become an egg, right? When they're ready for mating, that cell or nascent egg releases to go to where it can be fertilized in the body, right? In the human, the womb. There's womb-like structures in most other species, right? But it's already formed, right? And then it gets fertilized and it starts to grow, right? So, mating cycles are governed by the release of those eggs. So when they have heats, when the species has heats, it happens like a couple times a year, maybe, right? And in human species, it happens once a month, and other related primates, right? So, and that determines the cycle of fertility. right? In mammals, menstruation starts when that egg starts releasing. That's when they're considered to be sexually mature. The body says, okay, we're ready to have babies now. And it goes, and it spits out an egg. That's the dragon of productivity. For those of you who are doing sprints, time to get back to work. Right? Yeah, right? So that starts the fertility cycle. And when you run out of those eggs, that ends the fertility cycle. And that's what menopause is. Right? So if it didn't work that way, you would have some significant changes in anatomy. I'm not saying that that's not wrong, or that that's wrong. This is an alien species. It can do it anyway. But I think that probably is more a representation of not really knowing how the cycle works. So I figured I would let you know. All right. Which is this is a ridiculous thing that schools do not teach us better. This is not your fault. Most people don't understand how it works. Okay. Unlike most mammals, the egg is left unconnected, and the unborn young thrives on nourishing the egg yolk. No, the unborn young is nourished by the egg yolk. Okay. Right, more like a bird than like a mammal. Okay. The egg is made of a soft mucus-like membrane that will remain within the mother's body for 6 months. Mucus is basically runny shit that is like bodily fluids, right? The lubrication that forms when women are going to have sex is mucus. The stuff that comes out of your nose is mucus, right? A membrane is not... well, I don't know. Maybe it does have the texture of mucus, but then I get the impression that the whole egg is egg yolk, kind of an egg white, right? And then, but there's no shell, right? There's not even a leathery type shell. Is that true? Am I misunderstanding that? Okay, roughly 3 days before hatching, the mother will lay the egg and remove it from their body. Immediately, the mucous membrane hardens into a shell. Ah, okay. Now I understand. This is a misunderstanding of what mucous membrane means. Mucous membrane is a surface on the body that produces mucus, right? So, the inside of your nose is a mucous membrane. The inside of a vagina is mucous membrane. The inside of your bowels is a mucous membrane because it needs it to slide the food down the tube, right? So it produces mucus, not that it is mucus, right? So, okay. Yeah, when I hear mucus, I think nose first, says Cayetane. Yeah, well, we were just talking about sexual reproduction. That's why it crossed my mind. Yeah, just call it a soft shell until laid. Right? Good point. I think Daz has a good thought there. I would say, well, act is okay, right? Process might be better, right? We'll leave the mother physically weak and she will not be able to move, and you'll want to delete that too. I'm sure that was a typo, for several days. It is during this time that family are expected to aid in the hatching process by feeding and taking care of her to prepare for the hatching and to help, I would imagine is what the word you wanted, help her to gather her strength for the feeding. After 3 days, the hardened, and you need an ED, that was a typo, shell will begin to crack and a new Awiran child is born from the egg. Its first meal outside of the egg is given by suckling on the mother's teats, right? But you probably don't need that because you already said they feed their young with milk, right? Like we've already clarified that, so you might not need that. The birth of a new hatchling is considered a time of celebration by the community and a feast is held. Makes sense to me. Growth rate and stages. Awiran children are hatched with roughly the same abilities as a human toddler. These chicks are already that's great. I like that because I immediately get the picture of their capability. These chicks are already covered in a coating of downy feathers where their adult feathers would be. They grow quickly, having their first of 3 molts within 2 years of hatching. Nice. The second molt happens at roughly 8 years of age, and the third and final of the 3 childhood molts happens around age 13. Those are logical places to put them, especially if they have a similar lifespan to humans. The Awarian children are taught to fly and survive between the second and third molts and are considered adults as soon as the last of their feathers grow back in after the third molt. Makes sense. Very clear biological markers then makes it easy for them to determine an age of majority. That's cool. Ecology and habits. The Awarian congregate in large areas. Oh, and I think you've switched the R and the Y here in this example of Awarian. The Awarian congregate in large areas of woodland and utilize large, tall trees for habitation. In these large trees, they create hanging nests using branches, twigs, woven grasses, and fibers. Wow, those must be some big trees. I kind of pictured them making their homes on like cliff faces and, shit like that. But okay, big trees. Maybe there's some really big frickin' trees in your world. That makes sense. Which is awesome. Yeah. Okay. Bones and leaves are also used to create their houses. While not particularly large, these hanging habitats can hold roughly 8 Awarian. I'd say that's pretty big to be able to fit in a tree with a creature that's roughly 6 to 7 feet tall, or one typical family. The Awarian house possesses only one room which holds mainly bedding. Awarian live, and again this is all switched around because you were typing things quickly probably. Because you said are we and live here, right? Live in large communities and share resources. Normally the community gathers for large feasts of the days. That makes no sense. Normally the community gathers for large feasts of the days gathering at night. What? What feast? Day? Night? What is and then the other question is, what is a large feast? Like, are you trying to say that they hunt throughout the day and bring a metric shit ton of food home and then they all eat it at night and they don't eat during the day? Because, okay, sure, that makes sense. But then again, a feast is an exceptionally large spread of food. So if they do that all the time, then is it a feast? Right? I don't know. Just, yeah. Dietary needs and habits. While not farmers in any traditional sense, the Awarian do gather food they've nurtured. You need an R there between U and T, and I hear a dingy thing. Hello, dingy things. Oh, hello, Longsaze. Good to see you. Welcome, and thank you for the raid. We are nearing the end of showcase critique on Barbarossa's article on his avian species, the Awarian. Right. Okay. Right now you've got nurtured. I think you want nurtured, so it's typo. You just missed an R, right? Do gather food they've nurtured from nature. Yeah, that's a particular type of agriculture, right? What you're saying here is they don't really plant food, but they do kind of look after and protect certain areas of naturally growing things that produce the stuff they eat, which makes sense. There's also another form of agriculture. The Mongols used to practice this, right? Because they had an annual migration route, what they would do is that at different times a year, right, they'd go to the spot where the year before they'd thrown a bunch of seeds, right? And they'd harvest what came up, and then they would, throw down some more seeds and move on to the next place, right? And that kind of agriculture is actually surprisingly effective. Our current methods of agriculture only yield something like 15% more food than just throwing a bunch of seeds in the ground and coming back when they're ready would. It's really surprisingly effective. So, I don't know, throwing that out there for your consideration, right? This is also a form of agriculture. Oh, there's a bunch of berries that grow here. Well, we're going to protect the berries against predators, and we're going to, pull out the more harmful weeds and we're going to gather stuff from there, right? And that's perfectly legit too. It's an earlier form of agriculture, but it is agriculture and it works. Yeah. Within their communities, certain Awiran are designated the role of providers, which grants them certain authority over the village. Yeah, okay. They utilize a process of taking limbs from various fruit-bearing or nut-bearing trees and grafting them to their master tree, as well as planting the seeds of vegetables and other plants near the base of their grand tree. Okay, that's agriculture, right? That is totally because we're grafting fruit, right, or nuts, which is orcharding, right? Because that's how it's done, right? And then we're planting a bunch of seeds around the base of the fruit tree, which, by the way, doesn't strike me as a good idea. I mean, right, perhaps they're doing it as a method of a landmark, but there'd still be a bit of a radius around it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the idea, but if you're talking about putting it right underneath the tree, fruit trees steal a lot of resources. Right? They'll take most of the surrounding water if they can get it, especially if water is in short supply, right? And they'll drain a lot of nutrients out of the soil. And other things trying to grow around fruit trees often don't do very well. If they do exist there, they're parasitic usually, right? So, they might give it a bit of a radius around the roots, but I can see them using the fruit tree as kind of their landmark of, there's my farm, and going there and dealing with it, right? So that makes sense, right? I get what you're trying to say. Aside from this, Awiran utilize their sharp claws to dig up fungus such as truffles from underground. If they're digging, I assume it's from the ground, as opposed to what, right? As well as certain root spices. Okay, so you're probably talking about things like ginseng and ginger there, right? Which makes sense. And maybe they're not ginseng or ginger because your world has different plants, which makes sense. Awiran are also natural hunters, utilizing their sharp claws and talons to gather small to medium animals. And you're talking in terms of D&D classifications, so yeah, that makes sense. The Awiran do not waste the carcass. Actually, if you're talking game stuff specifically, you might want to capitalize small and medium so people know that this is referring to a game statistic, right? If it's not referring to a game statistic, then, small animals, we generally get the idea we're talking about bunnies and, like stuff like that, right? But medium animals is by whose estimation, so you may want to define that a bit more. The Awiran do not waste the carcass of an animal, utilizing all parts in any way. How about split that up? The word anyway, right? The word anyways has a different meaning from any way, and actually, I just delete that. Utilizing all parts, period. Right? And I remembered this before, right? This is not a new sentence. This is all part of the same sentence previously, because this is not a complete sentence, right? Creating spoons, armor, or weapons with the bones, turning organs into food, sacks, or water skins, and making decorative clothes and outfits from the skins, while also utilizing the fatter layers on their housing as insulation. All that's legitimate, but it's not a complete sentence. That requires, like, a subject and... yeah, so I would say they create spoons, armor, or weapons with the bones, turn organs into food, sacks or water skins, and make decorative clothes and outfits from the skins, while also using the fatter layers on their housing as insulation. So okay, wait a minute. Are you saying they take the fat from the animal that they've killed and make it into insulation? It would reek. That's the stuff that rots. I could see them, boiling down the fat and making candles and shit, or using it as, flavoring for food, or, you need some fat to make pemmican, by the way, so there's a thing, right? But I'm not sure, maybe you meant furrier layers or something? Yeah, you make soap with it? Yeah, so maybe it's not under the tree, but it forms a radius around their home tree. Yeah, waterproofing, that's true. It could definitely be used as waterproofing. Usually the fat is boiled and clarified to get rid of the impurities so that it doesn't rot when they use it like that. But yeah, that's what you were getting at? Okay, that makes sense. Okay. And that's a good idea, because otherwise I imagine they'd be really susceptible to rain, right? That's the sprint. So if you are, you know, doing the sprints, then that's the timer. Okay, additional information. And I'm sure you're going to flesh this out later. Perception and sensory abilities be Arwen. And again, you know, typo there, switched around. Oh no, that was the right way. I'm sorry. Oh wait, no, you got an extra R. That's why. Arwen, yep. Can sing a magical song, have super sight, and can fly. Okay. I think you've got some great stuff going on here, and I look forward to seeing it developed. But yeah, you might want to check some of the biology stuff, that's all. And there's a couple of grammatical mistakes. These are really neat creatures. I like the thought you've given into how their society would work. And I like the idea of kind of a, you know, mammalian, you know, a mammalian bird. I like to see more creatures with mixed qualities like that. That's great. Yeah, biology is like my least favorite topic. Yeah. It was one of my favorites in school, so I kind of, you know, I probably know more about it than the average person does. You know, just because I liked it, right? So. And yeah, they make it impossible to study everything you want to study. Yeah. Okay. Ansaze says, awesome, could I hop into the queue with my half an edit, please? Did I not finish your edit last time? If I didn't, I'm sorry, and by all means, yeah, toss it up. I would advise people to hold off for a minute now, because I also have an article from Twinkle Toes, right? So with the article from Twinkle Toes and the edit from Angsthaze, that might be it for the day. It already being 2 o'clock. So, yes, by all means, please do, and if you could provide me with the link again so that I can do that, I would be happy to do it, but hold off until after I've gotten Twinkle's article queued up, because I don't want to lose. Okay, there's Twinkle's article. I'm going to queue it up. I'm going to shut these down. Alright, cool. We have a game. Neat. Okay. Emily said earlier, maybe it's also a French thing. For us, there was a clear separation with the French Revolution in between and the Empire after. Legit. Yeah, that's legit, and for obvious reasons, I would think. In English culture, we tend to think of it more like the Napoleonic era, right? And then the stuff before it is a little muzzy, right? And where does the Victorian age start, right? Because it's, you know, there's some muzzy areas in there because a bunch of things all kind of blended together, and it depends on what context you're looking at. Yeah, so And like I said, you know, I was a little frazzled when I first came in because, like, you know, you guys heard my story about my frustrating morning, but thank you for the posture check and stuff. I am going to put on a break timer. I realize I feel like I just got here, but I am going to go take the Benadryl that I was suggested to take. And I am, you know, going to refill my coffee. So I will be back shortly. As always, feel free to use it as a sprint timer. That's what I'll do when I get back. See you in a minute. Okay, before I take off, good night, Natalia. Welcome, Chris. I'm sorry you had a Windows update problem. That's annoying. And yeah, go ahead and put the link in there anytime, Angstase. Alright, sorry about that, gang. We are back. I decided to go put some, like, cream on my face, too. Sometimes that helps. I see a lot of good suggestions about things to put in a city. Important things often include population, demographics, right? So, what sort of people live there and how many of them, right? You know, and this can include everything from, like, you know, 80% elves, 15% gnomes, 5% other, to, like, you know, male-female populations, or children, or old people, or whatever. You don't have to break it all down completely. Oh, hell and damnation. Okay, 1 second. I'm sorry, I forgot my coffee in the other room. Just a sec. That's important. I'm just going to leave the timer run. I'll be right back. Yay, Bunny Bombers! Hello, Bren. Good to see you. Welcome to all the bunnies. Bunnies forever. We are house lappins, so of course we're happy to have all bunnies. How are you? How did your stream go today? Hey, Stretch. Good to see you. Yay, Bunny Bombers! Did I miss the raid while reading the article? Says Author Goddess. Looks like. Streaming well, says Brenna. I shall be lurking and eating some dinner. Fair enough. Thank you for raiding. I appreciate it. Awesome. 3 raids in 1 stream. Yeah, you got. Oh, I feel loved. I'll tell you. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the support. That's excellent, and really nice to have you all. Yeah, Time Pool brought people. Thank you for the raid, by the way. That happened on the break, so I said something in the chat, but I didn't get a chance to say something vocally, so thank you. And Anastasia raided earlier, and thank you to you as well. So awesome. I hope everyone's doing well today. We are about to do a showcase. Oh, hey, Rockadan. Good to see you. Yeah, you can get right into it with city articles. They can take a while, as, Amelie is saying. Yeah, we're about to do a game article written by Twinkletoes the Berserker. I'm glad that I was helpful, Barbarossa. That's great. Okay, tops. Now, I meant to grab my dice, but I didn't. So, clearly this is played with polyhedron dice, which makes it a game after my own heart. So, basic rules. Tops is played with polyhedral dice. The point of tops is to roll as many high rolls on each die as possible. A maximum roll on a die is called a tops. The player with the highest number of tops wins. If there are multiple people with tops, it comes down to points. Each die has a corresponding value from 1 point to 7 points. D20 that has the top is 7 points, D12 is 6, D10 percentage 5 points, D10 regular 4 points, D8 3 points, D6 2 points, and D4 1 point. That makes sense. If there is a tie on the tops calculation, example, 2 people roll only 1 tops with a D20 in both cases, then the total roll is counted and whoever rolled the highest value on face showing wins. On, I would say, the faces showing. This is where the D10 percentage die really comes into play, as it can add up to 90 points to your roll. That makes sense. If no tops are rolled by any player, the points are calculated by roll total. This is also a good place 4 rather than 2, I would say, for the D10 percentage die to shine. Tops is traditionally played in 7 rounds. Whoever has the highest number of tops at the end of the game wins. Single tops. Variations. Okay, over here, type game. Players 1 to 10, suggested maximum. While more people are capable of playing, the tallying of rolls and tops can become tedious with more players. Yeah, I imagine. Single tops. Tops can be played alone. Unlike when played with others, the only purpose to this game is to get as many tops as possible. When you have no tops, it's called a bottoms round and counts against your total points as a -1. Just like with multiplayer tops, this is traditionally, and you got a typo there, you're missing a couple letters in traditionally, played in 7 rounds with tops and bottoms calculated at the end. Single tops is sometimes played competitively to see who can get the higher points. Golf tops. This is a variation on single tops that plays by golf rules. The point is to get as many bottom rounds as possible. This is also played competitively. That's hilarious. 42 tops, aka 7 sixes. This is a variation on tops played with 7 d6s. Unlike with regular tops, there are no point values assigned to the dice, and whoever gets the most tops wins. Ties are much more common. It is still played in 7 rounds, with whoever gets the most tops winning. Okay, that works. It is also called 7 sixes, usually by mundanes. Yeah. People who are not performers, participants, or merchants, but do attend Renaissance festivals as tourist types. They do not dress up, but appreciate and appropriate, not appropriate, just so you know, Rennie culture. Yeah, that's true. Aughts tops. This is a controversial variant on tops where the roll of 0 on a d10 regular or a 0-0 on d10 percentage is considered the bottom roll. Instead, the tops roll is a 9 or 90, making the highest non-tops value possible 8 or 80 for the d10s. Yeah, okay, that makes sense too. Gambling. Although tops can and is often played without gambling, there are rules for bets. If you are betting, you must bet 7 of whatever coin or bill you are betting. Mundanes may try to change betting rules, but it is generally frowned upon to change the betting rules. Sure, people are a bit superstitious about it, I guess. Okay, so die roller D&D. Let's check it out. I don't know why this keeps coming up. Well, that doesn't help me because it doesn't have a percentage D10. Alright, I think that'll work. Who wants to play? We'll try a couple of them. Okay, what have I missed? Stretch says, how many people here know Skyrim and Warhammer? Not I, said the fly. Emily says, not the systems anyway, right? Barbarossa, I didn't comment, says Emily, while Sable was reading your article, but I like all the different sections you have and the biology details. Yeah, I like that they're there too. I'm just trying to help make Barbarossa's article more accurate, that's all. James says, you were saying something about a city article before realizing you didn't have your coffee with you. Okay, I was saying that there are a lot of things you can put into a city article. I think I mentioned, but maybe it wasn't clear, demographics are often an important thing, right? And population. How many people live in the city and what or who are they, right? That could be an important section. Yet history could also be important, as Amelie suggested. When was it founded, by whom, and why? And a geography section. What's the climate and terrain? Yep. Yeah, police, emergency service. Ah, Twinkle's playing. I got no tops. 45 total, though. Alright. I'm still rolling a d4. Okay, that was a d6. D8. I'll roll the... I got 97, but that's not a top in either case, right? Because it would be the highest number, right? Okay. So I got no tops either, if that's the... and the total. Okay. So what did I get for a total here? 1. I'll go with the first d6, 5, so that's 6. Plus the 8. Yeah, the d8 is another 5, so 11. 108. No, 1 is the 9, so okay, right. What was I? 11, 20, 27, 33, 48. I do believe I won that round. Shall we do a second one? I got a top there. Alright, so how do we do total here? Okay, so I got a top on the D4. Oh, if we're counting it by percentages, then I would have had like 100 and some, so. Alright, so we do have to add up points for the second round because we do have another person with a top. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 83 is 91. 92. I got a bottom, I don't know if that counts. And 100, 110. James wins, it looks like. Oh, no, Twinkle wins because she's got 2 tops. Or they've got 2 tops. So I get it, right? I'm doing it right? That's neat. You know what? Actually, Twinkle, there is a way to include a die roller right in the article for whatever dice you might require. You go to, let me show you how you find it, because this is something you might want to do. Do I have anything open that I'm currently editing? No, I don't. Okay. I actually don't have anything open that I'm editing? What the hell? Alright, fine. I guess I have to open something. Well. Okay, it doesn't really matter what article. I'm just trying to show you where to find the technical information on this to add a die roller right in, which you might want to do because it uses D&D dice, right? So, okay, so you scroll down here in the sidebar, you open up Design Tags Reference. That's what you want, right? And then it'll give you BB code that you can use, and that's the sprint for those of you sprinting. Right, this will give you BB code for things that you can do and add to your article. Here we go. Roll, in square brackets, roll, colon, 1D whatever, and if you have an add, plus whatever, right? And you can also do it to roll initiative in particular, right? And if you put that right in your article, then people have a die roller right there when they open up your article box that they can use to play, right? Which is a really neat thing that you can do with World Anvil, because why wouldn't you want to have that in a, thing that is in part designed for RPGs? So it's under table of contents in the article tag list. Excuse me. Yeah, so there's useful stuff there if that is of any help to you. I think the code can also do impossible dice. And I might want to, if I were you, put that in the article, because I think that would be really handy. I might even put it in the sidebar. This is a good place to expand on, right? I don't know if you've used the sidebar directly yet without the stuff that it automatically puts in there for the templates. Have you, Twinkle? I know you're still reasonably new, so Stretch is thinking of homebrewing his own land realm of the dead for his Corillith world. Taking inspiration from Shadowfell, Skyrim, Dawnguard expansion, and mainly Warhammer Realm of Shaiish. Question is, what should I name it? Huh. Realm of Shadows? Realm of Shades? The Shade World? You can make up something that sounds like slightly sinister. Yeah, that's a good one. Corillithal? That's a good one. I like that a lot there, Anastasia. That's a good one. Feel free to type your extra suggestions in the chat. Alright, so I think that when the chat timer ends here, I'm going to do an actual sprint. And if you guys care to join me, feel free. And anytime during the sprint, Anastasia, if you put up the link again so that I can do the other half hour of edits that you have required, or requested rather, we will do that as soon as the sprint's done. Might take a brief break first, but we will do it before or after that. Okay, James says, I have a poll going in Greg's Discord. I don't mind putting the same poll in Sable's Discord. The poll is about a city name. If you want to, feel free. Sounds good, James. I would suggest either the world building or collaboration channel for that. Dan Stretch says, my vision is something very spectral. The river Styx in this world is a river of lost souls, lots of very spectral green, etc. Thank you, Siobhan. Is that the same link? Like, did you want me to use that that link in particular? The Eldritch Realm? I don't know. Okay. Okay, Anastasia, duly noted. Yep, put up whatever link you would like me to look at, and we'll do that either after the sprint or after the break following the sprint. Which should, like I figured, actually pretty much take us to the end of time. The time here, right? So I think I'm going to have to say no more showcases for today. Sorry, gang. I will be available again on Sunday for that. And if I am, Aaron's always available for showcases too, right? And if I happen to be in his stream on Saturday, which I'm not sure of yet, then, you know, I'll be happy to read them out and go over them. I realize that the reason why people sometimes save them for me is because he does not read them out and I do. So that is fine. Okay, duly noted. Got the link. Excellent. I'll put that up before I start working on the sprint. Okay, as an attachment, I'm not sure I can show this on screen, but I will give it a try. We'll open it, and I'll probably have to switch the screen thing over, but that's fine. Oh, I forgot to like Twinkle's article, and I do like this. This is cool. Oh, okay. You're wanting me to go over your statements of consent and mature content. Fair enough. Cool, I look forward to seeing what you came up with for that. That's often a difficult thing to put into words. So, cool. Alright, that's the sprint. Emily asks, by the way, does anyone know if they qualify or disqualify articles for the Flash challenges based on the last edit date? My article on birthrights autosaved this weekend while I was looking at the featured article settings. Since there are no prizes, I doubt it, right? I'm pretty sure that it's just a matter of, you know, getting a look at stuff, really, you know? And so, you know, it would be not worth the effort to go through that, I would imagine. But you might want to mention it to Dimitri, or actually, who's in charge of that? Basic Dragon, maybe, or Baron, right? Baron is the master of games, and I think Basic Dragon is taking charge of the Flash challenges, right? You might want to contact them to mention it just in case. Oh, and James DM'd about that. Twinkle found a polyhedral dice rolling website. That's awesome. And James's poll is up under world building in my Discord if you guys feel like participating. Please load file, says Langstaze. Be a nice file. It was a nice file. It loaded. It took my whole 2-hour stream and then some. Yeah, I imagine, because you really got to think about these things, eh? And I look forward to your feedback. Yeah, I look forward to what you had to say about it, actually, so that's really kind of cool. Okay, good stuff. So I am going to go to a quick, or one more break before I get into the edit, simply because I heard the guys coming back, so I'd like to touch base, right? Rowan says, very happy, might have the truck engine shit sorted out, provided the parts truck pans out. That's excellent. Glad to hear it. Amelie says, okay, Sable, thanks. I was really annoyed by my mistake, even if there is no prize. It's the first challenge I'm participating in. Shit happens, right? When there is a prize, though, right, it does matter. So if that happens again, mention it, right, to somebody, right? Dimitri, Baron, Basic Dragon. Look for who's in charge of that particular challenge. Anastasia said, silly me, I thought, oh, I'll knock out the content warnings and have time to kill. Maybe I can do Toastmasters prep. Yeah, that sounds like something I would do, because I'd be like, well, this won't take long. It's not going to be a terribly long piece of writing. And then I'll, you know, underestimate the time it takes me to think about it. So, totally is me. Yeah. Yeah, this next Flash challenge looks really interesting, eh? You get a drawing of your item. I'm pretty excited about that. I have a significant item that I probably will do. So, that's pretty great. We might even have a stat block for it. Not to mention, apparently the phone is ringing off the hook, and that almost certainly means my mother is calling. So, I'll check in with that here once the 1-minute break timer is done, and I've put up the /break sprint timer. Emily says, yes, I'm very annoyed because the Flash challenge would have been absolutely perfect for the article I've just published. And I would have loved an illustration of that one. Damn it! Okay. If you just published it, like just now, some people have occasionally deleted their original article and started a new one. Right? Now, you know, technically that's sort of a cheat, but if you just put it out, maybe it'd be worth it. I have an article I would have really liked an illustration for called The Crown of the Stars. And yeah, right. That was like a year or half a year ago now, so I can't do that. So I will have to do its counterpart, the crown of the earth. That's my plan, I think, at least right now. Okay, I'm going to start the 15-minute break timer. As always, feel free to use it as a sprint. I will be doing that when I get back, and I will see you in a few minutes. I am back and working in the background. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure he's gone by now. But good night, James. Sleep well. Lappin' for life. See you tomorrow. And that's the sprint. So if you were working on something, how'd you do? Where are you at? Emily says, okay, I was hesitating between several magical items I have in my novel for the Flash Challenge, but I think I just found an idea. I have some items that the government agents use to make giant magic-eating insects appear. Cool. At least that one would be cool to illustrate, and I can do more in the article than copy and paste what I have in the novel. I've done nothing since the stream started, says Emily, but at least I now have an idea. Well, there you go. I just realized that I edited and published the wrong fucking chapter. As always, I'm keeping the break timer up. Oops, yeah, it's fine. I'll just, since it's published to patrons, I'll just remove all the subscriber groups in the meantime and edit and publish the right chapter, no problem. People will be able to see it's there, but they won't be able to access it. Emily says, looking at my world again, and it's so pretty. I'm feeling really smug with my new CSS skills. That's awesome. Well, feel free to drop a link in the chat, even if it's not as a showcase, and in that way people can have a look if they want to. I'm kind of skimming ahead on my next chapter, the chapter I'm supposed to have published, because I'd really like to get it done before the end of the stream. Aha. You can't unpublish your chapter. Not at World Anvil, you can't. But I published it privately and only to my patrons, so I can just remove all the subscriber groups and then release them when it's ready. It's not a big deal. I'm going to have a look at Emily's article here, or world here. I like your map. That looks like it might have been World Spinner originally, was it? I like World Spinner, I use it. I'll follow your world, that's neat. I like it. And that is the Dragon of Productivity growling for those of you who are doing sprints. I'm going to go now to the viewer screen with the sprint screen here, and we're going to look at Angsthase's statement of mature content. And this is Amelie's landing page here. No, I was talking about the map, actually, whether it was World Spinner, because it looks very similar to some World Spinner stuff that I've done with the font and whatnot, but maybe not, because I see things in there that you wouldn't have been able to get in World Spinner. I like the ships and the sea monsters and shit. That's great. And I love the CSS. It's really cool. The only suggestion I can make is if this link here is to your books, if you have a book cover, put it there instead. If you have more than one book cover, put the first book cover in the series there instead, because the book cover advertises your book, right? Other people might see this at a glance without having thoroughly read things and assume that this is like in-world books, but it's stories within the world, and, you know, highlight the fact that you're an author. It matters to people. Okay, so this is Angsthase's Mature Content Advisory, and we are doing an edit and critique. So, this means that we'll look at phrasing as well as subject. Excuse me. Mature Content Advisory. This book contains mature themes, which is a lovely warning that tells you absolutely nothing. Yeah, okay. I don't think you need lovely, but I get that it's your style, and that's a cute style thing in there where you're being like, I'm being a little sarcastic, which is cool. Unfortunately, more explicit warnings run the risk of providing spoilers, insight into story details that, if previously known, may reduce surprise or suspense for a first-time reader. Nice. If you'd like to discover the story along with Becca, the main character, you can stop reading this section now. If you're more comfortable hearing about how I handle certain sensitive subjects before you come on this journey with me, I like that. That's really well said. It's like we're going on a voyage together. This is going to be an adventure. That's cool. The following 2 pages are for you. While I obviously hope you do decide to enjoy the book, informed consent is a key value for me. I provide this information to help you decide whether or not to engage with the story. I love the thoroughness of this, right? I would never be quite so thorough. I'm perfectly happy with, and I'll show you on my publication page here. This is A Few Good Elves, and I'm perfectly happy with these sort of content warnings. Graphic violence, torture, sexual violence, war, right? So I figured that for me sufficiently communicates what kind of mature subject matter you're going to get into. If you're triggered by these things, you may not want to read this book. And that's cool, right? But I'm now that you're, presenting this, I'm thinking that what I might want to do is put a leaf in the front matter that says that, avoid these chapters if you're not into this type of stuff, because often, not always, but often the mature content that I include can be avoided if you don't want to read the chapter. Right? It's not like you can't pick up after and figure out what happened. You can do that. But I kind of made a promise to myself in this story that war is awful, and I'm not going to shy away from it because that's part of my point, that war is awful, right? War is horrible. And I want people to feel the horror so that they can feel the character. But, I don't want anybody to have, flashbacks or anxiety attacks or anything like that either. So it might be good to be a bit more specific. So I like that. All right. Consent. Let's admit this up front. Becca is bad at consent. Everything is new to her, and she doesn't yet have the experience to know whether she'll like it. More than once in the story, she says yes when she probably should have said no. Both Morgan and Lynn have more experience. They recognize the problem and work hard to keep Becca as safe and comfortable as possible while she learns how to give good consent. Okay, Lynn said, so your words are telling me that you're curious and you want to learn something new. That's fair. So why is your body language screaming that you're terrified? I'm sorry, Becca said. She made an effort to sit up straighter. I know I'm being unreasonable. I apologize for my reactions. Morgan squeezed her hand under the table. It helped. I don't want an apology, Lynn said. I want to know that you're making a choice to be here. I want to know that you'd feel safe saying no, because if you're saying yes because you're afraid of the consequences, that's not a yes we should be taking. You said you won't hurt me, Becca said. Lynn nodded. That's true, they said. And as long as you know that applies to saying no, as well as if you say yes, I'm happy to help. And I really like the way you handle consent in this story, and that's excellent. Kink. Morgan and Lynn both enjoy BDSM. Safe words are a normal part of their interaction with one another. Becca explores kink for the first time during the story. Several chapters focus on shibari rope bondage. These progress from demonstration to instruction to an actual scene in which Becca is tied to the mast of Morgan's and Lynn's boat. Other kinks mentioned or explained include impact play with whips, puppy play, and pursuit and takedown. All of these are presented as having been consensual and rewarding for the people participating. I do have whips, Morgan said, and other things. I never said that I don't hurt people. I have, and I will. People who enjoy it, who want to engage in that sort of play with me. You're giving me ideas, actually, about how to approach a particular novel that I've been chewing on writing for a long time. I have a character in one of my D&D worlds. There is a church that is devoted to the goddess of pain, right? She's also the goddess of soothing pain, right? I will take on your suffering and I will soothe it and give you release, right? But some of the practitioners of the faith like BDSM, right? And view it as a sacred right to honor the goddess. And the character gets intimately involved in the church. I've been uncertain of how to approach it, right? Because he's kind of like that, right? Yep, I do have whips. I never said I don't hurt people, but people who enjoy it, right? And want to do it. Morgan took a breath. You've known that about me, as you say, and you're right that it wasn't something that was relevant to our friendship. What I'm telling you is that it still isn't. I won't hurt you. If anybody else has any comments for Angstase as we're reading, then by all means feel free to throw it in there. Yeah. Okay. Sexual orientation. All three of the main characters are queer. Morgan sometimes describes herself as a lesbian for the sake of simplicity, but may better be described as a skewed pansexual. Heterosexual, cisgender males rarely appeal to her. Legit. Lynn is also... is that the proper term? I didn't know that was a term, skewed pansexual, with a leaning one way or the other. That's interesting. Okay. Lynn is also pansexual, but slower to leap into relationships than their partner. As for Becca, her life experiences will suddenly start making more sense to her if somebody explains what it means to be asexual and demi-romantic. Right now, not having words to understand how she's feeling is more than a little scary. Cool, I like that. You're saying that this is her deal, but she is learning that this is her deal. Right? I never felt this way in high school, she said. What, no crushes on a cute guy? Morgan teased gently. Or a girl? Becca shook her head again. I mean, I knew I was supposed to. I thought about it, I guess. Like, this guy might not be awful if I had to be with somebody, but it wasn't something I really wanted. Nothing like... She waved her hands vaguely. I want to do stuff with you, even if it seems scary, but I know you like it. I kind of want to at least try it, because if you like it, then it can't be that bad. I don't think it's wrong to have an element of that in a healthy relationship, to be willing to experiment and see if something that your partner likes makes you like it too. Or sometimes there's stuff where you're like, I could take it or leave it, but I'm going to do it with you because I know it makes you happy and I like that it makes you happy. And that is important to me, right? And I think, as long as you don't feel obligated, but you feel like, yeah, it might be fun to make this person happy because I feel like making this person happy and that's something I want to do for my own gratification, then it's cool, right? So thanks for approaching those layers. Did I skip gender? I may have. I will double check. Barbarossa has redeemed a save check, a posture check, and a hydrate check. So hail hydrate. And I will go back and see if I missed it. I may have because I'm scrolling. Yes, I did. Okay. Good. I was wondering if you're going to bring that up, so that's good. Okay, gender. Morgan and Becca are female. And this is between the kink and sexual orientation section. Morgan and Becca are female. Lynn is non-binary. None of them used to be a different gender. If they were assigned to a different gender in the past, that error does not negate the truth of their identity. I like that. I bet the non-binary people in the chat also like it. Or gender fluid people, right? Twinkle describes themselves as gender fluid. I would love to hear their comment on it, right? And of course, Siobhan being trans, I'd love to hear her comment on it. Becca had heard about Lynn, of course, but had never met her friend's partner or even spoken with them online. She knew they were non-binary. Morgan referred to them rather than him or her, and that they did something with computers, but that was about it. Yep, cool to cover that. That's great. Yeah, I like the sexual orientation description here. That's cool. Relationship models. Morgan and Lynn are in a stable, committed relationship that is not monogamous. The dynamic they have allows them to explore potential new relationships independently without violating their existing relationship agreements. While things that impact the other person, example, risk of disease transmission from sexual activity or needing to prepare an extra serving of dinner, I suggest a comma here, right? Disease transmission from sexual activity, comma, or needing to prepare an extra serving of dinner because somebody will be visiting, require discussion, flirtation, and even dating do not. Oh, I see. Require discussion. I would put a semicolon here instead of a comma after discussion, or one of the long dashes, right? Because it's a phrase that needs to be separated from the rest of the sentence, because they're two semi-separate ideas. Okay, because otherwise it's a little confusing to the reader and they stumble on it a bit. At least I did. In practice, of course, new people are exciting, and they will often talk with existing partners about that excitement. I promise it's okay, Lynn said. I told you before that she won't offer you anything that would hurt me if you accepted. That's still true. I love it. As a poly person myself, score. Bigotry. All of the above are potential axes of discrimination. Axes, but yeah, axes of discrimination. While the events of this story do not include bigotry, its effects have shaped Morgan's and Lynn's lives. The UK's now repealed Section 28 was active while they were in school. The legal status of LGBTQIA+ people in certain Caribbean countries affects where they can safely dock their boat or resupply. Unpredictable treatment by staff and patrons has made Lynn more hesitant to try unfamiliar restaurants or entertainment venues. Morgan and Lynn discuss some of these risks with Becca because they see her as being newly vulnerable to anti-queer bullying. Yeah, I definitely want you two to stay safe, Becca said. Lynn looked at her. Has it occurred to you yet, they asked, that this applies to you too? Becca blinked. She began, yeah, I guess that is a thing. Yeah, it's good to be aware that bigotry does shape a character's perspective if they are LGBTQIA+, right? Even if it's an unconscious bigotry, right? Arrow ace people don't often suffer a lot of direct, blatant discrimination, like get out of my restaurant for kissing your girlfriend. Legit happened to me in my life, right? But there's a lot of indirect discrimination by not being included in the conversation or assuming that they're not included in the conversation, right? I have made mistakes like that in the past because I was ignorant of what the deal was, right? Now that I know, I'm far more aware of that, right? But I mean, we all assume everyone's going to get together with a partner and raise a family and whatever, and maybe you're just not fucking interested in that, And that's fine, right? And nobody should feel pressured to do any of that. And even, in Canada, that's a sprint. We have found that people tend to be pretty comfortable now with the idea of gay couples or lesbian couples since, gay marriage has existed in Canada for more than a decade now, right? So people have learned to kind of take that as part of the landscape generally, but discrimination does still happen, right? And it wasn't always considered, right? And polyamory certainly is not accepted. People don't really understand it, right? So, that's important. It's a thing. All right, going over the comments. Okay, let's see here. Okay, relating back to Amelie's world, I've been adding new art images to my 3.5K introduction article. I think I'll publish it soon, but I keep thinking about new stuff to add to it. I hear ya. Oh, it's Wonder Draft. Okay, that's nice. The map, I mean. Emily said, yes, I saw the nice sea monster asset, and so now there is a sea monster in my world. That's awesome. No book published yet. Okay, but alright, fair enough, so you don't have a cover image, even a working cover image that you're using yet? Fine. Okay, Anastasia said earlier when I was talking about how it's good to have a thorough breakdown, right? This is what I'm thinking. Front matter to give you an idea of how I approach the topics. I like that. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I was reading and did not catch what you were referring to. That makes sense, but I'm glad it did, whatever it was. Amelie says, I like what Sable has read so far on Staze. It really gives an idea to what to expect. Yep. It really does. It's excellent. Amelie says, I've seen ace people say they have sex with their partners because they don't mind and that pleases their partner. I like the way you presented that in the excerpt, Anastasia. I'm ace. That's great. I resisted the urge to add deal with it, says Anastasia. Yeah, I hear you. I wondered about a semicolon. She says, if it weren't for the brackets, it would be fine. I keep falling over it too. Yeah, I hear you. Emperor Charles says, ooh, that's so clever. And yeah, as a non-binary person, my gender assigned at birth is useless info. Yeah, absolutely right. Why the fuck would that matter to the story at all? It's utterly, pointless, right? So, glad you're not dwelling on it or feel that you even have to mention it. That's great. I agree with that too. Amelie says, I think you might want to add in brackets what Section 28 is for people who don't know, since you may have readers who are not from the UK. It's discussed in the story, says Anastasia. Yes, it is. I remember the discussion. Not in a neutral manner, she adds. Morgan has opinions about it. Rightfully so. Anastasia, in regards to the discrimination, yeah, that's why I said they see her as newly vulnerable rather than asserting that she is newly vulnerable. Yep, that makes sense. They're like, hey, just a fair warning, this is a thing, and it's probably going to affect your life, right? Yeah, Rowan says it's true. Me and Sable, when we ran errands together, used to get some serious looks. Yeah, we did. Actually, at one point, we kind of, we decided we were not going to bother to dissuade people of the nature of our relationship. So, even on occasion, I mean, she tends to dress with a lot of, flannel shirts with pockets and, stuff like that. And I might deliberately dress a bit more, typically feminine because that way we can, normalize and correct people, even though that in and of itself is a stereotype. Of course, in a homosexual relationship, people will present any way they want. The old stereotype of butch and femme has been dead for a very long time. But some people are like 20 years behind, Amelie says for ace, and that's the sprint, if we're going back to it, which I probably will in a minute, because we've got about 15 minutes left before the end of the stream, so we'll have just enough time for this last sprint. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. Hail, hydrate. Amelie says for ace, a lot of media present us as being childish and naive, and Charles agrees. Yeah, kind of like people often, when a woman says, look, I want to get my tubes tied, they're like, well, have you had babies yet? And they're like, no, but I'm not interested in having babies. They're like, well, no, we're not going to do it. You just deal with it because, and spend all this money on birth control and, all this other stuff that you don't want, because we don't think that you're smart enough and wise enough to make your own fucking decisions about what you do and do not want to do with your body, which makes me enraged, right? And I'm sure it happens for, ace men and ace non-binary people too, that they tend to be kind of dismissed, and it's not right. It's not right. Yeah. Don't forget robotic and unfeeling, adds Ongsaze. Yep. Who, yeah. And, of course, also nonsense. Moonflower says, for aromantic, we're often called monsters who don't feel, etc. Yeah, that's bull. And that's nonsense. That's nonsense. Of course it is. Yeah. Rowan adds in response to my, we didn't dissuade people of the notion, but we did occasionally ham it up because why not? Exactly. And Rowan says, in response to the, get your tubes tied, or we require your husband's permission. It's none of my husband's fucking business. It's my body. He has nothing to do with it. If he wants to have kids later on, and, he can go find another body to have kids with. This one belongs to me, right? So, yeah. Author Goddess says, there was a show with a homosexual couple and someone asked, who's the other gender? And the response was, we are both ID gender. That's how homosexuality works. I wish I could remember what show. Oh yeah, right. Well, who's the girl in the relationship? You know why people ask that? Because they've got an idea that the roles and the powers of men and women are different. What they want to know is who's the sub. And that's none of their fucking business, right? And furthermore, it's a stupid paradigm in the first place, which is why that paradigm has generally been resisted by queer people, right? So, Ongsaze says, the cool thing is that when Becca does correct her coworker about the gender of the person over whom she's blushing, nice. Becca corrected, her blush deepening. She, well, we've known each other for years online. Olivia said, drawing out the sound. Yep, we all get blushy and shy about people we've known for years. Perfectly normal. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I think I missed that one. Author Goddess says, has vagina powers. That's right, because who's the sub, right? Anastasia says she works in downtown Toronto in the 21st century. Pride was a month ago. It's not a thing. Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. No, I think this is good. I don't have much critical to say about it, actually. I think you've done an excellent job of breaking it down, and nor do I think it needs much of an edit. Just a couple of the places where I pointed out, and you write amazingly clean copy, and it's really kind of refreshing, actually. Okay, gang, I'm going to do one more sprint here, the rest of this sprint. I have not followed this world yet, and I should. Wonder Draft is where this came from. Nice. Alright, back to work. Published the right chapter. Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. Oh, and who am I rating today? Do we know? I guess I should look at the calendar. Looks like Gala's supposed to be on. Okay. Also, Geeks Anonymous if you're into RPG content. Okay. This is a writing stream, so I'll raid Gala probably at the end of this. think I meant that kind of past. Oh, hey, while I'm here, actually, I have something I want to point out to you, gang. Many of you I have spoken to when I have done edits for you, and I have said, I think you should abolish and do away with redundancy. There are things that are redundant. Here is a statement that I have found in my own writing, and remember I said, I have done this a lot in my own writing, so I know what to look for. Here's an example. Shondar nodded. He had suspected that this was the case, and it didn't surprise him. Secretly, it even pleased him. Okay, if he suspected this was the case, it didn't surprise him by definition, because he saw it coming. So to say both of these things is redundant, right? I should pick one, the one I like the best, and say that. Leave the rest out. The previous sentence, the captain cleared his throat. You know, lad, he said, your father asked if I'd keep an eye on you and your blood brother when you were assigned to me. Shondar was kind of expecting that, right? So I will just say, I think he had suspected this. That is good enough. Clearly, it doesn't surprise him. Obviously, if he suspects it. Secretly, it even pleased him. There we go. That's a much cleaner, simpler sentence that does not insult the intelligence of my reader by telling them something they already know. Right? So, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about when I'm talking about abolish and do away with redundancy. Okay, and I saved that from my last edit because I wanted to show you guys when I came back, because I did it when the break timer was up, and I wanted you to see it. So there we go. I hope that was of some help. See, there's another example, right? Eventually some decision was reached and the skipper boarded a fighter. Well, if the skipper boarded a fighter when we're talking about likely the discussion was that the commander was urging him not to go on the ground assault, clearly we know what decision was reached, right? So that was a waste of fucking text. Here. Eventually, the skipper boarded a fighter. Hey, Song, good to see you. I see that you kind of snuck in on the end here. Author Goddess terrifies misogynists around the world, no doubt. Layout look good? I fidgeted for ages to get it to line up neatly on the pages, says Anastase. Yes, it did look great. It was really nicely formatted, actually. PDF is sized for hardcover with 1.27 centimeters margin on the outside and 1.91 centimeters on the inside. Awesome. Yes, I'm self-editing. I did do a couple of different things today. Yeah. It was very productive. I have really enjoyed the productivity of the streams. I've really enjoyed what I've been looking at from other people. You guys are doing some great stuff out there. And I really enjoy looking at it because it's just fun to celebrate other people's creativity. And hey, I'll be honest, sometimes it gives me ideas. So yeah, she also edited and published the wrong chapter before coming back to the right one. Legit, I did do that. Go me! Rowan says, one of these days I will get on writing Apocalypse Jane, in which no one special, pretty, or important becomes a community leader. I would read the shit out of that. Give that to me. Gimme. I want it. Grabby hands. Shut up and take my money. You know. Okay. Isan says, oh no, though got to be honest, that kind of mistake makes me smile. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's cool. Like I said, I just, it's only published to my patrons, so I just remove the subscriber groups. And I'll release it when I release it. It's fine. So true and so relatable. Yeah, and that's the Sprint Gang. Author Goddesses slides into another screen to watch a tarot unboxing. That's okay, we're about to end this one. Thank you all for joining me today. I had a great time. Like I figured would happen, I feel a lot better now than I did at the start of the stream. I was so frazzled, and now I'm relaxed, and I'm just going to finish editing the rest of this chapter and get it out. Is what I'll be doing in the meantime when I join you all on Gala's stream for a bit. And yeah, if you hearts back, guys, you're amazing. You're amazing. Okay, so if you would like to check out RPG content, I recommend. Yeah, oh yeah, and I gotta do. That reminds me. Okay, I have all kinds of things to talk about quickly, so I'd better do that. Let's go back to the downtime screen here for a minute while I finish typing in the rest of the thing here. Twitch.tv/geeks Anonymous. Hello, Gala. I'll be over in just a moment, my friend. Okay, so that's RPG content if you'd like to check it out. And speaking of RPG, and he's a pretty new streamer, so stop by and say hi. You know, give them your support. Speaking of RPG content, March 4th is GM's Day. World Anvil is going to be doing some stuff to celebrate the day. I don't know all the details yet, but I kind of have an advance heads up that there will be something. We at the Anvilite Streamer Corps are going to take the opportunity to promote our RPG streamers. I will be putting together a post for the RPG news feed, or the ASC news feed, right? So that is that. Oh, hey, Travis, good to see you. You came just at the end of the stream, but we're always happy to see you. How are you today? Anvil.com. Okay, so here's the ASC site. /w/ASC, I think. Actually, I'm an idiot. You know what? Here we go. I put that command in there for a reason. Okay, so it's even shorter than I thought. That's the ASC website, right? If you haven't been there yet, if you're new to the stream or I haven't mentioned it yet, there's a calendar there of a bunch of different streamers. They're all associated with the Anvilite Streamer Corps, which means we all stream, World Anvil content, and we kind of are a fan group and we celebrate it. and there's a lot of RPG streamers on there. I will be putting together a news release that will be going on the ASC news portion of the website, where I will be talking about our ASC role-playing game streamers, right? I will, kind of give you a basic, here's some people that you might want to check out, right? And kind of a loose description of what they do on their channel, because of course there's a lot that can be done with that. If you are an RPG related streamer, or you do any of that kind of content, if you are doing something on or around March 4th that is going to be related to GM's Day, then ping me, right? Send me a whisper on Twitch, send me a message on Discord, join my Discord server and tell me about it. Probably in the gaming channel would be a good place to do that, and I will be happy to promote it for you on the 4th of March. Okay, so in the interest of that, next week, Erin and I are going to be trading off streaming slots. On Thursday, March 4th, Erin is going to be doing Ask an Old GM from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., which is when I normally do Diane Actually Writes. Diane Actually Writes will be happening on Friday from 1 to 4 p.m., and those are Pacific times, right? This week, tomorrow, for the first hour of the Diane Actually Writes slot, 2 to 5 p.m. PST, which is 10 p.m. to, what is that right? 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. GMT. We, the first of those 3 hours will be our monthly State of the Multiverse, in which Erin and I talk about what we're doing, the stuff we're working on, and what's happening in our community. There is some awesome news that I can't wait to share with you guys tomorrow if you haven't heard about it already, so definitely tune in. And then when that is done, I will be proceeding for the next couple of hours with Diane Actually Writes. I will not be extending the stream like I sometimes do, because Twinkle Toes is now on the calendar and is streaming right after me, and I don't want to cross over their schedule. So, only 2 hours of Diane Actually Writes tomorrow, but State of the Multiverse is worth missing an hour for, so come hang out. All right. Barbarossa says, you're an amazing writer, Bean. I pray you have a great Pink Shirt Day. Gods bless y'all. Is it Pink Shirt Day? Pink Shirt Day is awesome. Support Pink Shirt Day. Fight bullies, guys. That's great. I think that's a great program. Travis says, been here a little bit, just wanted to support all the things by showing love. Thank you very much. And a bunch of hearts from Esong too, so hearts back, gang. Yeah. Star Wars tonight, says Siobhan. Yes, that's why I'm not extending the stream tonight at all either. I gotta get on some stuff. So, and 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. in the UK. Yes, says Amelie. So that is what we will be doing tomorrow. Friday, Erin is back with Ask an Old GM this week. That is 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. to midnight GMT. And I think that's far enough ahead to preview right now, especially with all the news about next week. We're going to go raid Lord Galacrond. Don't forget to do the raid shout, which is prepare to be boarded, because we are the Sable's Privateers. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I had a lovely time, as always, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!